Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. Please stand. We pray for the wisdom to make decisions that are beneficial to the people represented here. Empower us to speak honestly, reflect wisely, and vote with integrity. We seek your guidance tonight. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Carroll.
Present.
Ms. Chambers.
Here.
Mr. Wynn.
Here.
Ms. Kemper.
Here.
Ms. Wingo.
Here.
Mr. Osborne.
Here.
We have a quorum.
First item is approval of minutes of the business meeting, July 11th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Ms. Wingo? Second by Mr. Wynn. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is recognition of our Florence Fire and EMS Department, and I'd like to call on Ms. Lauren Skaggs. She's from Kentucky EMS for Children.
Hello, thank you for having me here tonight. It is my pleasure to be here to recognize the efforts of the Florence Fire and EMS Department
Always in need.
to improve pediatric emergency care. So I am Morgan Skaggs. I work for the Kentucky Board of Emergency Medical Services. And as a board, we are a regulatory body that ensures public protection by establishing minimal standards for licensing of both EMS agencies and emergency medical personnel. My program specifically, the Kentucky EMS for Children program, is a federal state partnership grant program that supports hospital emergency departments and EMS agencies to make those improvements in pediatric emergency care. Every person that calls 911 for assistance has some sort of unique circumstances, illness or injury, but a lot of the care we provide for our patients is somewhat standardized. And part of that is because more than 95% of our patients are adults. So when that patient we're responding to turns out to be an infant, a child, or an adolescent, it carries some additional challenges with it. First and foremost is there is a psychological and emotional impact in caring for children that we can be a little bit more blasé or accept those circumstances a little bit easier when it's an adult, and it's more challenging when it's a child. Children don't always have the same ability to communicate with us, and they're physiologically different than adults. Their vital signs, what's normal, varies by age and weight for each child. Their medication dosages, while standardized for adults, vary by weight for children. So quick, how many kilograms is 84 pounds? Anybody? Okay, you gotta divide by 2.2. So doing that under stress is challenging, and then you have to do some multiplication to calculate drug dosages, and we have some tools that help us with that process, but it adds to the stress of responding to provide care for that child. And I don't know about you, but as a parent, if my child needs emergency medical care, I hope they're getting more than the minimum standard. I want to know that the providers responding that day are bringing their A game. And so, one of the things that my program did was establish some criteria that go above and beyond the minimum standards. So an agency makes that commitment that they're going to do more pediatric emergency medical training and education for their providers, that they're going to evaluate skill competency on a regular basis, that they're going to name someone as a pediatric emergency care coordinator that will be the point person to evaluate pediatric issues for their service. They're going to work with their medical directors to improve their protocols. They're going to do community education and outreach to ensure that the members of their community have injury prevention and other information that might help them prevent the need for EMS. So there's a whole handbook of things that we ask of the services that apply for this program to comply with, and Florence Fire and EMS is joining 35 other services this year. So we are at about 23% of licensed services in Kentucky have made a commitment. And your men and women of Florence Fire and EMS have made that commitment. So it is my pleasure to recognize them for their commitment to improve pediatric emergency care with this plaque. They'll receive decals that go on all of their emergency vehicles. And this is an annual program. So every year, they will be reporting back to us and demonstrating that they've met our program criteria and that they continue to be committed to providing the best care for the children of Florence.
Thank you so much. We're gonna have you come around here, and if our fire and EMS personnel and chief could come on up here.
It never fails. Never fails that they get a call when they are being recognized.
Yeah. I should have showered. We cook grabs today and I didn't have time. I was trying to cook dinner.
Thank you for coming to do this because Brad had to work. Okay.
Yeah, I was coming anyway.
And he had a doctor's appointment, so he had to leave. And he's like, I can't do both. It's one or the other.
You guys have the print on your faces. Not in this one. It goes the other way, Jim. Well,
I guess the vice mayor don't get to be in it.
Ready, calls. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hard work. Congratulations. Thank you.
Really nice. Kind of good to know since we have kids.
Next item is
You don't think about
first
that
reading
stuff.
of 021, 2023, and we'll let Melissa get up here and hand that to me. It's an ordinance relating to lateral transfers of experienced officers from other police departments to join the Florence Police Department and other experienced firefighters, EMTs, or paramedics from other fire departments to join the Florence Fire and EMS Department. The purpose of this ordinance is to make adjustments to the lateral transfer policy in order to correct potential inconsistencies in ordinance number 01615 and 0919. The full text of ordinance 02123, including exhibits, is available for examination in the office of the city clerk of the city of Florence, Kentucky at 8100 Ewing Boulevard, city of Florence, Kentucky, during regular office hours. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Osborne?
Second.
Second, Mr. Carroll. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Mr. Wynn,
Yes.
Ms. Kemper,
Yes.
Ms. Swingo,
Yes.
Mr. Osborne,
Yes.
Mayor motion passes 6-0.
All right, next item is ordinance 02223. This is an ordinance establishing the Florence Business Building Facade Upgrades Grant Program in the city of Florence. The purpose of this ordinance is to encourage the rehabilitation and enhancement of buildings, to promote economic growth and investment, and to improve Florence's desirability and long-term viability within designated areas of Florence. The ordinance outlines a grant payment program whereby qualifying property owners in the designated areas within Florence may make application for grant assistance for the rehabilitation and enhancement of qualifying structures. The full text of ordinance 022-2023, including its exhibits, is available for the examination in the office of the city clerk in the city of Florence, Kentucky, 8100 Ewing Boulevard, Florence, Kentucky, during regular office hours. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Wingo, second by Mr. Wynn. Any discussion?
Can I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
I'm sorry. Can,
Mr. Hunt, could you come to the podium? Or do you want to-
I'm sorry. It's just two questions. I noticed in here that it says item 2.11, you have to have a design professional. So in my mind, if they're just doing a paint job, they need to hire a design professional, because this potentially costs a small business doing this a lot more money than
So I think what we would do in a situation like that is you can go to Sherwin-Williams, they'll take a picture of it and show you different paint schemes on there. It doesn't have to be like a exterior decorator in that instance. Originally when we were writing this, it had language that was very specific, architectural requirements, we removed that. What we're really getting at there is we don't want, people to do the improvements themselves per se, or do really design work themselves, where they're drafting like truss spaces and things like that. So in that instance, they could probably just provide a color sample from Sherwin-Williams and we'd be good to go.
Okay, and then, do we have a limit on how much money the city, will spend on this
That-
annually?
Well, up to the budget amount. So this year, I think we allocated, I was just gonna ask you this, yeah, 150, I believe. 100,000 for this
I
one?
thought it was
Okay.
100,000.
So it says in the ordinance that, you know, if we go above that, then we'll just basically won't do any more grants until the next fiscal year. And we'll learn as time goes on, how much participation we get, how much to budget in the upcoming fiscal years.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Mr. Wynn,
Yes.
Ms. Kemper,
Yes.
Ms. Wingo,
Yes.
Mr. Osborne.
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next item is ordinance 02323. It is an ordinance of the City of Florence, Kentucky establishing an economic incentive and grant program to demolish abandoned and blighted real estate. The purpose of this ordinance is to provide financial assistance to qualified property owners in Florence to encourage the removal of abandoned, blighted, and undesirable structures. The ordinance is intended to increase revenue, job creation, decrease blight, and enhance property tax values. The full text of ordinance 2023 is available for examination in the office of the city clerk of the City of Florence, Kentucky, in the Florence Government Center, 8100 Ewing Boulevard, Florence, Kentucky, during regular office hours. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Carroll,
Second.
Ms. Wingo, any discussion?
I think we ought to share with our audience what we're doing with this one. We have, from time to time throughout the city, abandoned buildings, structures. Maybe the owner has died, moved off, and it's a blight on the community, the neighborhood. And so this is the type of thing that would help funds to demolish those particular buildings. And we want to keep our city as looking as nice as possible, and this would help do that. No one wants to live next to an empty, blighted, abandoned building, so that's what we're attempting to do on this particular ordinance.
Any other discussion?
I just wanna clarify, this can be used on residential and business, commercial property.
That is correct, as long as the structure is the primary structure within the property boundary.
And then can you remind me the amount that we budgeted for this?
That one was either 100, 150 in there somewhere.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Mr. Wynn,
Yes.
Ms. Kemper,
Yes.
Ms. Wingo,
Yes.
Mr. Osborne.
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next is ordinance 024-2023. It's an ordinance of the City of Florence establishing the City of Florence City Official Training Program. The purpose of this ordinance is to establish a training program consistent with authorization granted by KRS 64.5278. The ordinance adopts a training incentive program designed to encourage qualifying city officials to pursue educational opportunities and advanced training to enhance and promote efficient operation of city government. The full text of ordinance 024-2023 is available for examination in the office of the city clerk at the City of Florence, Kentucky, in the Florence Government Center, 8100 Ewing Boulevard, Florence, Kentucky, during regular office hours. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Osborne? Mr. Wynn, any discussion? All right, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Mr. Wynn,
Yes.
Ms. Kemper,
Yes.
Ms. Wingo,
Yes.
Mr. Osborne.
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 6-0.
Now that we've done that, we might want to explain what that one is also. We want our officials to be up to date on various laws and regulations that we have in the state of Kentucky. We have certain responsibilities. So we want to be sure that all of our people are trained at all times with most up-to-date laws and such. So that's what we're working on in a broad sense.
This was a legislation passed at the state level that encouraging to incentivize us to get our officers trained. That the state of Kentucky, the legislature passed this because they felt that it was important that local governments be trained. And so we're following the KRS, the way that it's laid out is a direct reflection of how it is in the state law. So thank you, Mr. Carroll, for pointing that out. Next is the mayor's report. Just want to give you an update that the 36th annual Boone County Senior Picnic is scheduled for September 13th at 9 a.m. So that at the Boone County Fairgrounds. Tickets will be on sale next Tuesday, August 1st, for residents 55 and over. You can purchase your tickets at the Florence Finance Department and the Florence Senior Center, and these tickets go fast. It's a popular event. And pray for good weather. Usually there's great weather for that event. I don't know how they luck out, but they get good weather usually every year.
September.
Yeah. The City of Florence will host our National Night Out next Tuesday, August 1st from 5 to 7. The event will be held here at the Florence Government Center. The Police Department, the Public Services Department, and the Fire and EMS Department will have equipment on display. There will be vendors, and food will be provided to attendees. It's a great opportunity to connect with the city officials, city personnel, and council members. I look forward to seeing everybody there next week. Kiwanis of Boone County has organized a school supply drive benefiting the Boone County Schools Youth Services Center until August 4th. I think the barrel upstairs is full. They're gonna have to pick it up, and I'm hoping that we can fill it again. There's a drop-off right upstairs in the Florence Government Center lobby, and the supplies needed are backpacks, 3-ring binders, pencils, markers, and healthy snacks. And our next summer concert series will be held Friday, August 11th at the Florence Mall, lower level parking area by Macy's Home Store. The concert will feature the School of Rock, their house band, and headlining act will be London Street. There will be food trucks and beverages available for purchase and activities for the kids. All are encouraged to come to the free concert and bring your own lawn chair. Is anyone on council desire recognition? Any department heads? Anyone in the audience? Come to the podium, please.
Hello, Angela Cable. I know that we just passed this, so I'm just going to start from the beginning. The council proposed and discussed the business building upgrade grant program to upgrade the east side of Florence. This area is also where the homeless population continues to grow, and it was discussed in length by concerned citizens 2 weeks ago. I'm just concerned that instead of focusing these grants on making the east side look aesthetically pleasing, that we have grant money going towards programs to help provide for these individuals. Yes, we talked in length that these issues are not an easy fix. But instead of pushing all the responsibility onto Boone County, why can't we, as a city, apply for grants to help these individuals? Are we doing this because we are trying to push the people experiencing homelessness out of our city and into another part of our county? It's a serious question. I mean, private businesses should have enough revenue on their own to fix their own issues. Why are we using grant money on them as opposed to residents of Florence? And it's not just people experiencing homelessness that the city needs help. Other individuals can barely make ends meet. I recall Councilman Carroll commenting on families in our area, especially in the east side, who have to choose whether to pay their rent or mortgage, or to push it off for a few weeks so that they can go to the grocery store to feed their families. This is a real problem. I know the city has added funding to the budget to hire a social worker to facilitate, but Florence lacks resources for that social worker, especially on the east side. This is more of a city problem, not a county problem. With that being said, this leads me to my next point. It takes a village, right? Last year, I created a Facebook group in conjunction with the Buy Nothing Project to build our community. The Buy Nothing Project is a platform that encourages giving, receiving, sharing, lending, and even just expressing gratitude. Essentially, the group was formed to help build the community and to help out our fellow neighbors. This past weekend, we did a free yard sale. Members of our group donated items and we shopped as well, hence the free yard sale. The donated items, such as non-perishable and sanitary items, were held back and donated to the Hope Mission, and the remaining items, such as clothing, toys, and appliances, were then donated to St. Vincent de Paul. I did contact Mary Rose Mission, but they are currently not accepting donations. Again, the turnout was amazing, and it was just on a trial run. But because of the success of the free yard sale, my pastor has agreed to allow me to lead a ministry within our church to provide for our community. But even with an additional ministry, we still lack resources, as our church can only provide food and clothing, not the resources that our city needs, such as programs helping lower income families with things like daycare, transportation, affordable housing, even on a temporary basis. So with that, I would like to announce that we will be hosting our next free yard sale on Saturday, August 12th, 2023, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Torch Community Church, located at 6767 Hopeful Church Road. The Buy Nothing Project is sponsoring this event, and we believe that this location will be a better venue, as our trial free yard sale was on my cul-de-sac and the traffic was outrageous. The city even drove down the street twice for whatever reason. Using this location will also allow us to retain the items necessary for the new homeless ministry at my church. We are also hosting a back-to-school drive separate from the free yard sale to assist families who are in need of assistance gathering supplies for the upcoming school year. We kindly ask for donated items such as backpacks, pencils, papers, notebooks, folders, essentially items that you would typically find on any school supply list. I hope that we can continue to do our monthly free yard sales even in the colder months, as I'm sure Torch will allow us to host these events inside. Once I'm able to establish the homeless ministry at Torch, I will then provide Vice Mayor Kemper with the details so that she may relay that information to the social worker and their new role to facilitate the need of people experiencing homelessness or those just struggling to make ends meet. As a resident of Florence that cares deeply for our city, I would hope that you would consider applying and utilizing these grants in a more productive manner that helps all the residents of the city, instead of just making it appear as though the residents are being cared for by beautifying the east side. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you for sharing. And anyone, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Anyone else in the audience desire recognition? If not, there is a need for a closed session. Motion, we'll go into a closed session pursuant to KRS 61.8101B, acquisition, sale of real property, where publicity would likely affect the value of property to be acquired for public use or to be sold by the city. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Nguyen?
Second.
Ms. Wingo? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? City Council will adjourn to the room C, I think that's room C, and we will return here to adjourn, but there will not be any additional business taking place that we anticipate following the closed session. So we are in closed session at this time.